Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Real Music. On today's show, I've got the legendary country singer, songwriter, Lacy J. Dalton, talking about a brand new single she's got coming out tomorrow called Devil by a Different Name. And you need to check it out and really pay attention to the words and understand the shape we're in today and how we need to come together and be peaceful and loving. And the words are deep. And she's a great lady. We had a great chat talking about her career, and she said some really nice things to me, and I appreciate it. But here she is. Here's Lacy J. Dalton. Hello, hello.
Hi, Gary.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too shabby. I'm
Where are
hanging in
you?
there.
Where are you, Gary?
Well, I'm in a
You
town
look
called,
like you're in Florida.
well, close, very close. I'm South Alabama, in
Oh,
uh,
okay.
in Bruton, Alabama, the home of William Lee Golden. You ever worked with William Lee?
I just saw William Lee. We were just
Mm.
together. We were back there doing the Josie Awards last year, right about this time. He's so wonderful. What a sweet person. He's always been so kind to me. The
Really?
Oak Boys were the first people I ever toured with, and
Oh, wow.
he was always just really kind to me.
Awesome. Yeah, nice guy. You know, and you got to respect the guy. Been around all these years, and his voice is really prominent. When you're talking to him, you're like, I got to take this guy seriously because it's like he he just looks like he should be powerful.
He is powerful, and you know what? He's also not small.
That's right.
He looks
He's a
huge to
little
me.
bitty guy.
I'm less than 5 feet tall.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I did. I used to be 5 foot, almost 5'2". Now I am 4 foot nothing. I don't know what I am, but sadly, as we mature, we sometimes lose height,
That's,
which
it
I didn't
happens.
have anything to lose.
Stay out of the sun. You shrink. It's like a raisin or something. Hey, but it's good to know. Everybody looks up to William Lee because he's so tall. That's they literally look up to him.
Well, he's also
Okay.
got a beautiful soul.
Oh man. It's just something about, him and honestly, I mean, Bruton here, Hank Lachlan was here too. So you got two legends, William Lee and Hank Lachlan. And, just a lot of great, talented people that, come from this area, which the South is full of great people, but, when you doing interviews like this, you get to find out about, people and really realize that these are some decent and nice people like you, and that's why I love doing these interviews and studying biographies because you find out more about the person. They're not just a singer and entertainer. This is a real person that has all these struggles and but stories and just still around after all these years. And it's so cool,
It's
right?
still crazy. It's still crazy.
Yeah.
I read your bio and I thought, this is the guy. I need this guy. He can play everything. He can
Oh,
be.
yeah.
He can announce the show. He can. I mean, you started. I admire you guys who start like when you're like 8 years old, being in radio and stuff and playing guitar. I bet you play great.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, you're flattering me. I don't usually when I'm talking to different people, you don't really say, "Hey, by the way, I play seven instruments and I write songs," just in
I
case you ever
saw
think
that.
about
I noticed that.
it. But it is, like I said, not to talk about me or anything, but and I know I was talking to BJ Thomas and he saw some of my songs online. He saw on Instagram. He was following me on Instagram, and I was shocked. He just goes, uh, I like your songs. I've been checking them out and I appreciate your songs. You're a great songwriter. I'm going to need you to write some. And he died before he had a chance. And I was like, whoa. But just knowing that he appreciated me. See, I always appreciate everybody. Like I interview people for years. I admire, singer songwriters and people like that. But for somebody like that to say they appreciated something I'd done, I about broke down when I was talking to him. So I do appreciate you saying that, uh, you know, um, because it means a lot. I mean, when people that that are very talented and they mention you, it just means like you can't replace that. Money can't buy that. Gold doesn't mean anything. That means everything, and I appreciate that.
I am, I'm the same way. I think we all are. It's like
Yeah,
when someone notices that, wow, you wrote that song, it's a really good feeling. It's like, yeah, I wrote that song. I mean, well, as much as any of us write anything, I think we are kind of channels for
sure.
what comes through, and as long as we stay out of the way enough, I think sometimes we get some really good stuff.
I agree. I been listening to your new songs coming out, what, tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
And it's Devil by a Different Name. I've been listening to that song, and I was thinking it's got a traditional sound. It kind of reminds me like Johnny Cash kind of a style, but the old style, and I was thinking, but the way you sing it, you've been compared to Bonnie Raitt. And I'm thinking, I can hear that. I can hear that strong voice and that style, and I love it. I mean, but this song, tell me about this song and what you're trying to say in this song.
what I'm trying to say is we need to look at ourselves because a lot of us call ourselves Christians or spiritual people, and we end up judging other people all the time and othering everybody. And anybody who's a little different, we decide that they're less than. And that's a mistake. And I have to work. This song isn't just for other people, it's a song for me to sing and hear myself
That's right.
because I think it's very hard being a human being not to judge other people, for the color of their skin or their preferences in life or their politics. The first verse of this song goes, call me left wing. Well, the second verse goes, call me left wing, call me right. We are split right down the middle in this fight, and divided we fall. That rule don't change. It's just a devil by a different name, boys, a devil by a different name. We need, if we're going to say we're spiritual people and we have good hearts and good souls, and even particularly if we're saying we're Christians, we can't be doing this stuff we're doing and judging and hating each other. That is not, we are not walking that talk. That is not what we propose to be or purport to be. And what I'm saying in this song is look at what we're doing. Look at this. Call me imam, call me priest. We are brothers separated by belief, but a loveless faith is a ball and chain. It's just the devil by a different name, boys. The devil by a different name. And there's a price to pay for this. There's a terrible price to pay. The people can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with their families anymore because political beliefs have split them right down the middle till they can't even talk to each other. That's not how I don't believe it's always been that way. I think with some people it probably has. But we need to get beyond that. We need to be able to build bridges and talk across the divide. We need to build bridges across that divide and hear what the other side is saying, at least hear it. We don't have to agree with it. We don't always have to agree. We can agree to disagree. I'm almost finished with a song it's a tongue in cheek song called Everybody Loves to Hate. And I'm not excluding myself from that.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that it just makes me furious, but that's not the right way to be. You don't need to be hating all the time. Does that make you feel good? No, it just
Right.
makes you feel angry. And that is a kind of energy and a kind of power. That's not the kind of power you want to have. You want to have
Sure.
that quiet power. You want to have the power that comes from inside us and outside us, and that is in all that is. And part of the verse of the bridge in this song says, "There's a still small voice that whispers deep inside us. Listen close, and you might hear it say, 'There's a light still out here shining in the darkness. It'll be here when you find you've lost your way.'" So no matter
Right.
how hateful we get and how completely polarized we get to each other, there is always a way back. There's always a way back if we remember to come back to what's really important, which is feeling good, having our conscience, that part of us that's all in every single one of us, and is
Sure.
the same in all of us. The Spirit is in all of us, and the Spirit is the same in all of us, in all it is. And we're here to remember that. We're here on this earth. That's the only game in town, really.
That's true.
Everything else, chasing after the first verse of the song goes, call me whiskey, call me wine, call me cocaine or code 9, call me power, call me fame. That's just the devil by a different name, boys. The devil by a different name. You chase after that dollar, you chase after that personal power, you chase after that stuff, and sure, drugs and alcohol are just a dead end. Um, you know, you're not going to be the person. You'll be half the man you wanted to be by the time you're 40 years old. You know,
Right.
you'll be half of who you want to be. If you want to be a whole person, you have to you have to get beyond all that divisiveness, all that dividing
Right.
and that othering of other people of different colors and different sexual preferences. And none of that matters. That's
Right.
not what Christ taught.
That's
Christ
right.
taught love God with all your heart, mind, and spirit. Love yourself, which is the challenge, and love your neighbor as yourself. And he said that is the whole of the law.
That's right.
That and all the other laws of life are based upon it. And that's what I came to teach. If you're calling yourself a Christian, you're not walking that talk, and none of us do. I mean, hardly anybody, you know. I don't, I don't. I know I have to be watching 24/7. I have to watch myself 24/7.
Sure. Yeah, we're not made to be perfect. There's only one perfect. But and you said it in the song. I think you said something in the song that a lot of people overlook about being a light in darkness. And in order to be a light, you have to go to darkness. You have to be surrounded by darkness. You can't be a light in light because it cancels out, right? But if you go into where the dark is, but the only way to show people light in darkness is be light. You can't be the same thing that you're pointing a finger at. You're saying this is wrong, but if you're dark too, you're not helping them at all. But you're right, though. I thought about that, and you know, the devil in a different name. That's this might be wrong, but you don't point that out. You focus on the main thing, the obvious thing, whether it's a person's, like you said, a sexual preference or something. You might not agree with it, but if you make that the worst thing ever and the main thing about them that you just dislike, you need to change that. Well, what about the things that you need to change? Maybe that beam in the eye is blinding you from. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't. They just focus on, oh, this person is this, and you need to change that, man. We need to change ourselves.
That's the thing. I remember somebody saying to me, if you're pointing your finger at somebody in a negative way, you really need to turn that finger back
Right
and
there.
point it at yourself right here,
Right.
because we are all so we are all so flawed, and a lot of us are so damaged. But
Oh yeah.
it doesn't make us better to make someone else less than. That
Right.
doesn't make us better. That just makes us judgmental and well, I'm so superior because I don't do that. Well, you got to watch that stuff. And I these songs that I'm writing for the project is called For the Black Sheep. And these songs that I'm writing are always aimed at myself first. Hey, don't be pointing the finger without listening to what you're singing.
Right.
And it's a struggle for me. Every day, every single day, to to walk the talk that I believe that I want, the person I want to be is it's a good goal to have the person that you want to be not be hateful and not be divisive and not be othering people and not be prejudiced and not be putting anybody down. That doesn't make you bigger.
Right.
That kind of activity makes you smaller. You
Right.
think you're big because you're so full of hate and you're going to do this and you're going to be tough and do that. You know what? That makes you smaller.
Yeah.
Really, really big spirits say things like, Father, forgive them. They know
Yeah.
not what they do.
Exactly. Always having compassion and understanding, because everybody's been in a spot where they had a hard time. And if you look at the other person and you realize that's a flawed person that needs help. If you look at them that way, if you look at them like your family, if that was your brother or sister, and they really are, you'd go, I need to help them out. And then if suddenly you became that person and you looked in the mirror, what would you do with yourself? How would you condemn yourself if you were in the same shoes and you had the same life that they lived? What would you do? And people don't look at it like that. They don't think, well, I would do this. Nah, I don't think so, pal. You need to figure out exactly what makes them the way they are. And if you think they got something wrong, maybe offer to help them somehow in the best way you can, but don't judge them and think anything evil toward them, But but song like that though gets you thinking. I love songs like that because I think people recently have been on a roll with these kind of songs because there's been a lot of positive songs that deal with people doing, helping each other out, loving one another. Man, that needs to be like contagious, right?
Well, I think there is a contagion happening. I was so thrilled, to hear songs like, if you got a dream, chase it because your dream won't chase you back, and love somebody as hard and as much and as powerfully as you can until you can't. That's pretty good messaging. And when you're going through hell, keep going. There is, let's make it. I hope it is. I hope it's like COVID. I hope it just catches on and everybody gets it, because this world is not a child anymore. And in the thousands of years we've been on this planet, we have never learned to get along, never. And you know what? It's time. It's time to get over all this crap and try to hear what the other side, whatever that is to you, is trying to say to you.
Right.
And generally it's, hey, we don't feel like we're being heard.
Right.
We don't feel like anybody's listening. We don't feel like anybody cares. A lot of times that is kind of the message. And I think that there are a lot of songs that are coming out like that, and some of them are better than others. And I'm putting out this record called For the Black Sheep and we just got a nice distribution and promotion deal with Time Life, Star Vista to help us with this project. So we're going to have some help. I've been an independent artist for 20 years and, doing it all by myself, which means most people think I'm dead. So I have a funny story to tell you. We had my manager, Leslie. I have the greatest manager in the world, Leslie Adams. And we were going to go back to be inducted into the International Hall of Fame. And I said, well, I need a T-shirt that says not dead yet. And because everybody thinks I'm dead. They even announced in Japan a couple times that I was dead.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we had this not dead T-shirt made. My assistant back there, who was she took care of Dolly Parton's business and her everything for years and years and years. Her name was Ira Parker, and she came to help me with that show that we were doing where we're going to be inducted. And she just had a cow. She said, you cannot wear that T-shirt. These people are trying to honor you, and you are being, why can't you ever just be normal? So I didn't wear the T-shirt, but I wore it all over, for all the parties and stuff. And David Frizzell saw it. I don't know if you know David, we're going on a higher wino, and you're the reason God made Oklahoma. He's my dear brother and good friend.
Great guy.
He saw the Not Dead T-shirt, and he just had to have it. He just had to have that Not Dead T-shirt. So my manager, Leslie, had one made for him, and we had a picture taken. He and I, and him and his Not Dead Yet T-shirt. I didn't have mine on. Well, was that what it was? Leslie's here to correct me because I now have a auxiliary brain. At this age, one needs an auxiliary brain. Yes, no, that's not true. Apparently, I had the Not Dead T-shirt on, and David didn't. But anyway, we had all these hundreds of hits on our Facebooks and stuff. And not one person said anything about David or me. Everybody just wanted the Not Dead Yet T-shirts.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah, it was, or whoever they are, they're not dead, but we need that T-shirt.
Of course.
It was funny. It's especially funny because David has Leslie showing me the picture that we got all the reaction from.
That's
We'd cracked us up. It's
that,
just like,
that's a cool story. I know you're talking about David and all the people you've worked with a lot of people over the years. So many probably to name. Uh, when you first started, was there a person that kind of showed you the ropes, or maybe took you under their wing that you'll remember that said that person really helped me out when I first started? Can you remember that?
well, almost every act that I traveled with, but I remember especially Bobby Bear. We traveled with the great outlaw Bobby Bear, and he had a bus and he was traveling, and we had this old rickety um, RV that was shaking itself apart. We shook apart probably six of those things when I was first starting because I couldn't afford a bus. And so we'd pull into a place where we'd go and they'd have this spread put out for Bobby and the band. Beautiful home cooked food that people would make, and these trays with meat and cheese and everything. And I remember, I've never had a bus but at this time, but Bobby does. And he goes, Lacy, you and the boys, you go in there and you eat that food because we got the bus. We got the bus. And so we would, and he knew we didn't have any money. And so he'd let us go in and have first crack at all this wonderful food. And he always did that every single time. And I didn't know until later, uh, if you have a bus like Willie Nelson's, you probably never want to get off. But with the rest of us, our buses are just buses. And
Right.
when you come into a place, the first thing you want to do is get off the bus and get some real food. And I didn't know until years later how kind Bobby and his band had been to me in those very first years when I didn't have a penny, you know. So yes, that was, and I've traveled. I've had the opportunity because I was signed as an outlaw artist to do something that a lot of us girls didn't get to do, which was travel with people the likes of Willie Nelson for long periods of time, and Merle Haggard and Hank Jr. for a year. And that was the best. I'll tell you what, he had the best stage of just about anybody I've ever worked with. He had a guy, we called him Captain Kirk. His last name was Kirk. And he had this huge board. And the sound, if you did a bad show on Hank Jr.'s stage, it was your fault. It
Oh,
was
wow.
not, you had a guitar tech. The minute your guitar was out of tune, the guitar tech ran out, grabbed that guitar, and gave you a guitar that was in tune. Without, you didn't even notice he was there. Hank ran a very tight ship, and Kirk and that crew. I got the job because people, the other bands couldn't get along with the crew. The crews hated them, hated the
Wow.
other bands that were opening for Hank, and so I got to open for Hank for a long, long time, about a year and a half, and we went all over the place in these big stadiums and stuff like that. And it was a very, very successful tour, and he actually gave me a gold record for it for some
Oh,
tour support. But and I know that he's right down there in your country. That is a
sure. I was just thinking there's a guy named Lamar Morris up in Opp, Alabama, that played guitar for Hank that I've met. That was a friend of my friend played drums. I mean, my friend plays drums, but he played guitar for Hank Jr. back
I
then.
don't
I
know
guess,
if I don't know if I knew him by that name,
yeah,
but his band was wonderful to us. I mean, they were
yeah.
so good. At one point, a guitar was stolen from me on that tour, and Hank's crew and I think the band put money together and bought me a new guitar. It was,
Oh,
uh, I was treated just like gold. It was some of these outlaws, Willie and Merle and people like that. My favorite tour was where I went to Europe with uh, it was with Bobby Bear and Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, Hoyt Axton, and my favorite singer songwriter ever in all time is Chris Christopherson.
oh yeah.
And
Oh,
I got to meet him and play some of my songs for him. And I had a song called Adios and Run, and I played it for Chris and his wife at the time. And Chris just there were tears in their eyes, and he said, and now this is from my God of gods as far as songwriting is concerned. He said, I and I don't think he meant this in any kind of sexist way, but he said, I didn't know a woman could write like that. And I didn't take it in any way except that it was a compliment because I often write oddly from a male point of view. I
Right.
often do that. I find that I do that, and I don't know why that is. But the song that I played for him was the song called "Adios and Run," and it's kind of a Pancho and Lefty kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Chris Christopherson. I did a video about when he showed up for Sinead O'Connor. You know, when she was on Saturday Night Live, and he showed up at a concert and they were booing her, and he's like encouraging her and things like that. And that video just really took off. That really kind of shows you what people think of Chris Christopherson, not just as a songwriter, but as a person. You know, that's what I was telling you about knowing the people. When you find out these stories and you find out how great these people are, so when they say positive things to you, you go, yeah, talking about making people even bigger than they are. When somebody like say Chris Christopherson, if they were to compliment you, you and you know their background, you're thinking, yeah, that makes them look even bigger when you're talented and you're helping people. But yeah, what a great songwriter. But
It
you've been
was, oh, he was. I mean, he is just the greatest. I his songs have changed my life twice, literally changed my life. And I just hope if when I do it, there's a song he wrote called "The Heart." The heart is all that matters in the end. And I had a relatively minor hit, was went to 7 or something on the charts long after I hadn't I'd not recorded for like 3 or 4 years. And I got a new record deal, and we put out that song, "The Heart." And it was one of the first things we put out, but I still sing it to this day because the message of that song, if you need an attitude adjustment, it will give you one in a second. And I did, and it worked. It did that for me. So when I sing that song, I think if this does for any person on earth what it did for me the first time I heard it, then I will have done my job on this stage. And
there
I
you
think
go.
that's why a lot of us do this. So, songwriters, as you know it yourself, they're pretty spiritual people. They're pretty sensitive, introspective, and loving people. I had this summer, I had the chance to host a songwriting sort of a song pull out at the Music Ranch, Montana, in the Paradise Valley near Livingston, Montana. And it was an incredible experience. It was just, I had some of the most wonderful. We had Bobby Tomberlin there, and I'll bet you know who he is.
Mhm.
And he started when you guys must have been about the same age when you started. You started playing guitar, and he was on the radio when I think he was 8 years old. But he was there with us, and we Tom Schuyler sat in, and we had David Frizzell came down and did the show with me, and he played his. He's got a new song that I've been bugging him to finish for a long time. And I said, if you don't finish this song by the time you come out for this songwriter showcase, you do not have a hair in a certain place. And so his song is called "Ain't No Future Growing Old." he, used to
That's
say that
that's
to us.
that's it.
And I said, if you don't write that song, you got to write the song. So he's written the song. It's now written. Ain't no
Awesome.
future in growing old.
That that's the truth. That's the truth. Wow. That's I mean, isn't it fun though to cut up with people that you've known for a long time, and through the years, those experiences. I'm sure you've had all kinds of experiences, especially like if you go to the Grand Ole Opry or something, and you see all these people, uh, and there's memories, right? There's like memories everywhere. Do you have that moment when you walk into a place like that and you're like, man, all those do the memories come back to you?
It's more of a feeling of all those spirits that have been on that stage are still kind of there. We went back last September, uh, October, I'm sorry, to do the 40th anniversary of my song 16th Avenue. And I hadn't been on the opera stage in years and years because I live way out west and I hardly ever even get back to Nashville or to the east, not very often. And so I walked out on that stage, and within 5 minutes, those technicians had us sounding so perfect. I don't know if I've ever worked with technicians like they have on the Grand Ole Opry, and it was just magical. It was just magical, and the people were. That song was such a wonderful song. To I'm so glad I got to be the one to sing that song, but singing it there with perfect sound and perfect lights and everything, and you kind of feel the heritage of all those who've gone before you. There's a kind of a magic there, and yes, I do feel that.
Yeah, I saw you singing that song 16th Avenue on a video
You
on one
did?
of yeah, and you were it was one of the I can't what's the name of the show where all the legends show up and you sing a song? I can't remember. But you're singing that song
Was
and
it
they're
the
all
CMA or
it was something where
was
I
it
want to say
recent?
it was it may have been within the past 4 or 5 years, I think. But
Country Road?
I think that might have been it. But
Let me just.
y'all were sitting around and you're looking at all these legends, which of course you're one of them. And
Oh,
y'all,
Country Family Reunion. That's
yeah,
what that.
yeah, that's it. And you're
Yeah,
singing that song and they're soaking it in. And I'm thinking, well, of course they are, because that's what that song's about, right? Isn't that song about Nashville?
it's about going to Nashville. Tip with your songs and your guitar in your hand or your drums or whatever, and going down there and going door to door and seeing if you can get a record deal and it's the story of a lot of people's lives, and it became an anthem for the songwriters down in Nashville. And Bobby Tomberlin told me that every time they have a Nashville songwriters meeting, that they play my version of that song.
Wow.
And I think still to this
Wow.
day, which is really touching because it's not easy. There's so many people, and it's the business is very hard now because they'll take in a young person and they give them, they might have a hit or two. If that second album doesn't work, they've already stuck them with a tour bus and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the debt, and they send them back to some little town in Ohio or Indiana or Pennsylvania like me. And how you recover from that has got to be it's got to be really hard for people. And it's
Yeah.
not, I think sometimes it's not how good you are or how great your songwriting is or anything. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw and who puts
Okay.
you in touch with whom. You know, um, I I was very surprised to get my country career. I was because I was, I was playing like psychedelic rock and roll in the 70s and blues and folk music. I
Right.
played folk music for many years before I got my record deal. But it came because I sent a record that I made in a little garage in Santa Cruz to a lawyer, a rather famous criminal attorney who was a friend of mine in LA. And he didn't even, I had changed my name, I'd gotten married. So he didn't even know whose record it was. And he stuck it in a in a in a bookcase. And one morning when he was shaving, he was listening to it. He goes, "Oh, I know who that is." you know. Um, and so he called me and he said, "I'm coming up to get you in my airplane. I've got a jet. I'm coming up to get you. We're going to bring you down here to LA and we're going to make a record, and it's going to be country music, okay? Country. You got to sing country." And I thought, well, that's easy enough. I grew up, my family sang country. My mom and dad and sister all sang country. I grew up steeped in it. I should be able to do that. And I had a song that called Crazy Blue Eyes that I wrote with my longest friend, Mary McFadden. I can't even tell you how many years. We've been friends since we were 7.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've been friends a good long time. But anyway, that song was magic. And we sent it, we did a demo of it, a great demo with Billy Walker and a bunch of really great players in LA. And we were offered record deals with every record company in Nashville on the strength of that song. And the
Wow.
rest is history.
It's awesome. You were talking about the hopes of these artists, like and the song says, and I know it's changed over the years, like you just mentioned, but that dream and that hope is still there. That's when I do interviews with a lot of the up and coming artists, because I think about me and I think about what I would like to do, but also think about what their dreams are. And ain't it great to be a person to help somebody's dreams come true in whatever shape or form, little bit that you might add to it, it makes me feel good. So that's what the people that have helped you, you always remember that, the ones that you talked about earlier, like Bobby Bear, he might not think, he might not have thought anything about it back then, but it changes people. One little act of kindness and help somebody, and it goes a long way. But I think that might be, instead of people focusing on money, I think that's what the difference is, right? Back in the day when you were younger, that they probably cared more about the artist than money, right?
Well, I think it's just gotten so expensive
Mm,
to be an artist, to promote on all the ways that we promote things now, and to put a band out on the road. I mean, airplane flights. The thing
yeah,
you don't think about with a touring band, and which is why I tour with the duo and trio almost exclusively now, because I can afford to do it as an independent artist. But you're paying for the airplane flights. You're paying for the ground transportation. You're paying for their meals, because they're away from home. You're
yeah,
paying for their salaries, and you're paying uh, to just get from here to there, and paying managers and business managers and accountants and so on. It's The overhead is huge.
yeah,
And I don't know that. I think you have a lot better chance in the music business now if you go in there with $100,000 or $200,000 of somebody's money behind you. And I'm sure there still are people who come in with nothing, like I did. I had nothing. I didn't have a penny. I didn't have two pennies to rub together. But I've had a very long and rich experience playing music, and I'm very grateful to all the people who've been good to me and are still being good to me. I don't know how my poor manager puts up with me. She's the best, most patient manager in the world. And some of the folks that are around me now, publicists and some of the good people at Time Life, I had to laugh at Time Life because they wanted to sign me to uh, distribution and promotion deal. And I said to them, and they said, and we want to promote your new single. I said, well, sir, I said, have you heard the new single? And they said, no. And I said,
oh wow.
well, before we sign anything, you need to hear this single because there are things in this single that some people may find controversial. And I need to know whether this works for you or not. And so I sat on pins and needles for a day or two, and then I got the word back that they absolutely loved it,
Oh
the
wow.
single. So I was pleased, and we sure appreciate being on your show and talking about this new single. My hope for this single is that it gets us thinking about building some bridges, coming together, listening to what the other side has to say, whatever that other side is, trying to understand that othering people who are different than ourselves is not our business.
Right.
That's God's business. That's not
That's
our business. Our business is pay attention to our own plate. There's enough on that plate for us, for any one of us to pay attention to 24/7, always. So before we're pointing that finger out there, remember.
it's right there. Um, well, hey, you said you were reading my bio about when I was younger. Well, when I was about that age, when I started playing guitar, my dad was a DJ. He was a DJ at like a rock station, but then he went to a country radio station, and he had your single in early '80s, and I would listen. I remember, and I would help him play the records. But even back then, uh, during the probably 1984, something like that, '85, and yeah, I can still remember. That's why, when I was setting up this interview, I was thinking, yep, I remember. But my dad played your records back in the day.
Wow.
So here
How do
I
I
am.
say thank you to, how do I say, is your dad still with us?
He still was. And
Well, would you tell him I said thank you and
I
hello?
sure, I sure will. Yeah, because I was telling him about interviewing you. I always tell him about, like, I talked to Felix Cavallari last week, the Rascals, and he's a big fan. And he was like, tell your dad, tell your pop that, and I was like, yeah, and my dad, he gets a big kick out of stuff like this. So he's the reason why I do this, because he was a DJ he showed me how to play guitar and write songs, so that's why I do it. But yeah, it's a big deal. But talking to
What's
people
his
like
name? What's his
his name,
name?
his name was Tommy
Well,
Stuckey.
Tommy, this is from me to you. Here is the biggest thank you in the world. Thank you forever. And you did a good job with the kid.
Hey, I'll, I'll have to. I'll mail you a check. It might bounce, but I'll. Uh,
I'll be expecting that.
well, I know you're going to be busy. I won't keep you too long, but I do appreciate you talking to me about this great song. It's a great song, and and that's the thing about it. It's a great song, great singer, uh, and it means something to people. It touches your heart if you'll let it. If people will open up their ears and pay attention, this will change their life. And you did a great job with this song.
You just gave me an idea for another song.
Okay, do I get credit?
Yeah, it touches your heart. I don't know how to put this together, but it touches your heart if you'll let it. If you'll let it. That's really important. That's really important to let in the light. You know, you can't let in the light if you're not willing to, you know, pull the blind or push back the curtain. You
Right.
can't let the light in. If you want to just stay in the dark, you can't let the light in. You have to let it in. Allow it in.
That and
That's
that
a nice thought.
that's hold on to that thought. Hey, I appreciate you noticing my thoughts and my I say some interesting things every now and then. You know, hopefully people remember the good ones, not the bad that slip out.
Well,
But yeah,
no, I think that no, not the bad ones. You should hear me on a bad day. Things turn blue.
um. So what kind of shows have you got lined up? Are you going to be? I know you're promoting the song. So what you got going on with that?
Well, we're all over the place. Just going out. I have a foundation for wild horses to preserve and protect wild horses, and we're going out tomorrow. Actually, we're leaving Saturday night. We're playing the Equus Film Festival in Westcliff, Colorado, which is a little beautiful town up in the mountains, and it's fall now, and I'll bet
Oh,
it's just going to be beautiful out there. Really looking forward to it. And then we're coming back to California on the 22nd of October. We're playing in a little village called Georgetown in this incredible little music box of a place. It's the kind of place you just love to play because it's old. It's probably a couple hundred years old, and
oh wow.
the in Heart Redwood, it almost feels like you're in a church. It's that kind of a little place, and I really love playing there. So I'm looking forward to going back there, Georgetown, California, and then October 28th we're heading out to the west. We're going east of me, but the Wild West in Cody, Montana, to the Colonel venue, and then we're playing Jimmy's Roadhouse up in Red Lodge, Montana, and then we're playing a private party at my friend Scott's place in Gray Bull, Wyoming, and then we're playing the Outlaw Saloon in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and the
Cool.
YO Theater in Sheridan, Wyoming. And then we're coming back to California, and then we have a whole bunch of Christmas shows right around where I live, up in the mountains above Reno, near the old town of Virginia City.
Oh wow. That's going to be awesome. Uh,
It's
man.
going to be great, and I'm still writing. I'm still in the middle of writing for the Black Sheep, which is the project that this song is the probably the third song I've written for this project. I've written about 5 songs for it, and I'm just finishing them now, getting ready to put the second one out in at the end of October.
Awesome. And so that's on a project now, but that's not your album. It's on like a
No, it's
project. So
it's my no, it's my project called.
is your
It's called for people like you, me. It's called For the Black Sheep, my people.
black sheep of the family. Yeah, I totally understand. Totally understand the weird ones that everybody that everybody talks about.
I used to say on my promos, a little bit country, a little bit UFO.
I like that. I like that. Hey, and also you need to promote that "Not Dead." I'm not dead
I'm
shirt.
not dead yet.
Not dead
I
yet.
think,
And
my
where
manager could probably become independently wealthy by just having the "Not Dead Yet" T-shirt. Really, you can't believe how many people have wanted one. It's like,
She needs to get it out there. Well, she's over there probably pulling her hair out because she's so. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just saying.
oh, having to deal with me probably.
I
I
was
don't
kidding.
see that, but she doesn't let me see that. But
But at least
I'm
you
sure
got
it happens.
you got somebody there though that helps you out and keeps you in line. That's good. I need somebody like that.
Well, I tell you, it's really a blessing to have a wonderful manager like Leslie, and I have a wonderful partner of, as he likes to describe it, 14 long years. his, his name is Dale Panay, and he's a singer, songwriter, and a guitar player, and he's been accompanying me. He's the one who probably would really like to pull his hair out, but he and I are he travels with me all the time, and then we have our bass player. Uh, we have two bass players, and they're both great. One of them is Bill Lehman I bet you know the new Riders of the Purple Sage.
Oh yeah.
They did a lot of touring with the Grateful Dead and people like that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
our bass player Bill Lehman is often with us, and then we have, I have a band that I worked with honestly off and on for 33 years. Now I work with them occasionally, but they're down in California. But we still love each other. They're like brothers to me. So we do all kinds of things.
Awesome. Well,
But we can always use a utility guy that can play everything.
I'm just say, like I said, I don't like to give plugs, to myself, but hey, I can do not.
I read
I'm
your
just
bio.
throwing
I need this guy. There's a band and the guy that plays, everything. That would be you.
Oh, I'm just saying, you secretly, you interview people and you secretly hope they go, you know, I'm going to consider this guy one day. I'm not going to just, say it, but I might hint around every now and then. No, but that honestly, but that is cool. That would be cool. Every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, man, I could picture myself. Maybe we could jam or something. I've had a few offers, so you never know.
Well, I'll tell you what, your Eddie Dale would jam with you in a hot minute. You'd
Hey,
probably have to do it by Zoom because he's here and you're there. But
we'll do it. We'll do it one day. I love playing. I play anybody. But I do thank you. Like I said, talented. You're so talented. Great songwriter. Well, you've got a ton of songs over the years that are just awesome, and just it makes you think. Your songs make you think, and that's what songwriters do. And your singing's great, but songs like this are going to change the world. Maybe one listen at a time. But I appreciate you talking to me today.
wow, what a nice thing to say. What a beautiful thing to say. Thank you. And I hope you're right.
I believe I am.
All
Well,
right.
you have a great day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, somewhere, and people getting excited about this song. I'll be paying attention.
All right. Haas, thank you. Adios.
All righty. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Thank you. To hear more about Lacy J. Dalton, head over to her website, lacyjdalton.org. And thanks for tuning in, and always remember to keep the music real.